This is the Lenovo YogaBook 9i. So when Lenovo reached out and asked to sponsor this video, at first I'm like, oh, another CES prototype laptop. And while I will give you a disclaimer, this particular device is a prototype, it is also going to be on sale very shortly in the next couple of months. So I've actually been using this particular device for about a month now. And in that time, I have learned a lot. Dual 14-inch OLED 120Hz displays. They're exactly the same from top and bottom, which opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. Not only do you get a ton of screen real estate and a device which is essentially the exact same size and weight of a normal 14-inch device. On top of that, you get a bunch of physical accessories. So while you can use the software keyboard as well as a software touchpad, it does come with a physical Bluetooth keyboard that not only can you use it separately, but you also can attach it via magnets to the bottom display. It then turns on a virtual trackpad underneath, and it kind of gives you a pretty close to regular laptop style move. On top of that, you also do have a stand. So that's what the actual keyboard stays in to keep it sort of safe and protected. But when you unfold it, you do a little bit of yoga perhaps, then it actually turns the entire laptop into a little vertical stand. So there are a lot of ways you can do it. You can open it and rotate it around using the hinge, but the idea here is really good. Lenovo have actually been making the YogaBook for a couple of years now, and this is one of the first major redesigns of the hardware. So previously they were using dual 13-inch displays, but this time they've gone up to 14 inches. But they've also at the same time made it a lighter weight. So this is slightly lighter than the last generation. Again, it feels quite similar to a regular laptop. And they've also outfitted it with an 88 watt-hour battery, which is very large for a device like this. This is running a currently unreleased Intel Core Ultra processor. So I can't really talk about battery life, performance, any of that. Again, it's gonna have to wait till a little bit closer to when the device goes on sale, but you can do the math, right? Two big 14-inch OLED displays, certainly gonna take its toll, which means they do definitely have to put quite a large battery inside. But why? Why do you want a dual screen laptop? I mean, there's tons of options out there. I mean, there's even some devices that have foldable OLEDs. But the problem with those, generally speaking, is that they're very heavy and they're a little bit on the fragile side. These are two, as far as I can tell, quite durable displays. And you're not really sacrificing much on the actual form factor. Now I say you're not sacrificing much. There is a little bit of a trade-off when it comes to usability. So when you're actually using it in sort of regular laptop mode, if I'm just sitting here on a couch or something, I can do an 8-finger gesture to pull up that virtual keyboard, but it's a virtual keyboard. You know, it's fine for quick typing in a pinch, but it's nowhere near as good as using the actual physical keyboard, which I would say is actually quite good. It's essentially the same yoga keyboard that you would find on one of their regular laptops, same 1.5 millimeters of key travel. It's really quite nice. But once you start to use that keyboard with the virtual trackpad, it's fine, it's pretty good, but the virtual trackpad, it's got really nice haptic sort of motors or feedback underneath the actual display, but you can tell it's not a normal trackpad. It's not quite as smooth, and it's certainly not as easy to do some of the multi-touch gestures. I understand why you can't do this, but I do wish that you could actually put the keyboard on the inside of the laptop, the actual physical keyboard. As it sits right now, you actually have to fold it up and it will magnetically attach to the top, but when you're actually using it with the dual screen mode, that's where it makes sense, because you got to pay a lot of money for this thing, right? This thing, I don't have the full price right now, but it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of the last generation, which is between like $1,800 and $2,000. So they're premium, but when you get it set up, you've got it on the stand, you've got the keyboard, you've got the mouse, you've got the pen, which of course all those accessories are included. The amount of work you can do on this thing, the amount of just screen real estate is terrific. If you've never used a dual screen setup, which I'm sure most people have at this point, it really does open up a lot, right? You're not constantly switching windows and switching tabs. You can have a couple tabs here, you can have a video here, you can have your spreadsheets here, you can have video editing going there, whatever the case is. Like, having that much flexibility on a device like this is great, because the alternative is really carrying around like an external monitor while you're on the go, and that's fine, but you're gonna have another thing you're gonna have to charge, you're gonna drain your battery, and then it's gonna be this whole janky setup. Like, the fact that it's all just sort of built in is really nice, and that's why you buy this laptop. Like, I wanna be really clear. If you're not planning on using this in dual screen mode, it does not make sense. I've shown this to a couple people, of course after the embargo lifted, not 3 weeks ago before anyone knew that this is going to exist. And the responses have been pretty universal, like, whoa, that's really cool. And it is really cool once you see it. There's a little bit of a learning curve. There's a lot of like gestures and like certain fingers to like pull up like different menus and moving your windows from top to bottom. You can span them all the way across, the whole thing. But like, it's really well executed, and it's definitely helped that Lenovo have actually been making the Yoga Book for a couple of years, so they've definitely spent some time to refine the software on this device. But the thing is, you gotta invest in the dual screen life, right? Because otherwise you're spending a lot of money on a device that is a little bit compromised. You know, if I'm just sitting here on a couch, if I don't care about that second display, yes, I can put the keyboard on, yes, I can use the virtual trackpad, it's fine. But at that point, I should just bought a different Yoga and save myself like $500, right? Like that's really where this comes down. But there's absolutely a market for a device like this that is thin, light, powerful, theoretically good performance and battery life, I can only assume, but also has this much screen real estate. Like, that's why you buy this. But this is hands down one of the most unique devices that I've ever used. It's crazy that you've got 2 full displays in a laptop. And while there are compromises, they are fairly minimal. You know, if you're not gonna use the dual screens, obviously this is not gonna be the device for you. But once you start using that much screen real estate in a laptop that's this size, it's kind of hard to go back, right? And especially once you get over the learning curve of all the different gestures and how the software works, and you get good at unfolding the keyboard and pulling it out really quick and whatnot, it is really cool. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely be sure to go check out the Yoga Book 9i, the link in the description. Again, this is not gonna go on sale for a little bit, so I don't think pre-orders are live just yet, but it's a super interesting look at a way to be way more productive on the go. Thank you very much to Lenovo for sponsoring this video. I gotta say, this is definitely one of the most unique laptops I have ever taken a look at.